Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tales Does Tales, where we here at Tales of Initiative play through tales from the Yawning Portal with an eldritch twist. Indeed, big creamy garlic sauce, it is stream time. Let's go, baby! That username is so on brand. I love it.
Very.
I am your GM, Matt, and I am so pleased to be telling this story with our delightfully daring and frighteningly fantastic cast of players, Danny, Haley, and Joe. I nailed it. I nailed the pointing the first try.
I'm just proud of myself for actually, like, when you started counting down, I shut up. And my brain actually shut up. I didn't just keep going.
I felt so bad because I heard the sentence start and I was already saying 3. And it was...
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good. It was
amazing. First things first, a shout out to our wonderful sponsors. Check out those Sponer leaks in chat. And by, did I say Sponer leaks? That's not appetizing. That's not appetizing at all. Check out those sponsor links in chat. Links with a K. And a special shout out to Day 20, who just released a brand new Warlock patron, the Dragon Patron. By learning to emulate the magical might of dragons, this Warlock can create an Eldritch Breath weapon, which offers plenty of destructive options for getting rid of your enemies in a breeze. And once your enemies are dead, loot the bodies and add to your horde. As you gain more wealth, you gain more power, eventually being able to age preternaturally slowly or even create a lair of your own. Are you tired of DMs being the only ones that can use lair actions? Have some lair actions of your own with the cool new subclass. You can use code TOI at the itch.io store from Day 20 for a 15% off on all of the stuff there. So go check it out.
Toy.
Toy. And another quick shout out regarding our channel points. Where do we stand in terms of this little challenge we got? Oh, the Pebble Skips has a tenuous lead. We probably won't be able to finish that today, but we'll see. What
was that?
What was that? Who knows? Continue to vote on those, even if we do not finish those various options before we need to know what happened with Pebble's mission outside of the campaign or outside of stream. It's halfway there. Excellent. Thank you, Strix. So yeah, even if we don't finish those, whichever one is in the lead, I am going to roll to determine what happens.
No.
And yes, vote for both. Porque no los dos. And whichever one is in the lead will get a small bonus on that D20 roll, but it is ultimately randomized and we'll see what happens. If you don't know what's going on with this whole Pebble thing, Pebble is our soon-to-be resident, very small stone giant PC. They'll be joining us very, very soon. Danny's already here. Danny's just gonna be chilling until Pebble's in scene. But in the meantime, they're here to have fun. Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about? Lots of shows coming back this week. This is the first like full week back for Tales. We've got today, Tales Does Tales. We've got Wednesday, Sunset over Vengalia, hopefully kicking off. We've got Total Party Chaos is on Friday, right? Yeah. I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
We're back. We're excited.
And then Danny and I will be showing up on Sunday for Monster Trucks. No, Vampire the Masquerade, where we get to play monsters of a different sort. I tied it into my really terrible joke. Anything else? Any other announcements before we dive in? Yeah. Okay. Well then, it's time to get creepy. Content warning. This show features a lot of weird body horror and unreliable narrator shenanigans and all kinds of other things eldritch and cosmically spookily. So, strap in. Get a drink. You don't need steed milk. That's not this show. But definitely get some nice, frothy, wet beverage so that you are ready to spend those channel points and dive into whatever nonsense we have. Joe is uncomfortable. Frothy.
The only thing that should be frothy is coffee or hot chocolate. Everything after that, I'm like, questions.
Frothy, like the foaming mathematical madness at the borders of the universe.
That's an okay foaming. I was thinking of something entirely different.
Okay. We'll leave your imagination to wander on that one. Perhaps foamy, big, creamy garlic sauce. It could be anything.
It was worse.
From the Sponers.
From the Sponers.
Stop.
Stop it. No.
No.
So, when last we told our tale, the group has finished the Sunless Citadel and returned to the Shadespire. Eustriel, Bellic, Meepo, Dern, Balsag. All casualties of exploration. All dead in the wake of this group's movements through the ancient fortress sunk beneath the surface of the world, where dragons once held sway and the cult now lies dead. And yet their offerings are still being utilized as Anya and Wynnie made another sacrifice to Tiamat. You eventually synced back up with Papa. Urki, who is feeling very trepidatious about being nearby this group that just tossed Eustriel to the, not wolves, the dragons, has been slightly nervous about his standing with the group, and passed out from sheer overwhelming shock in the now strangely magically fortified grove, courtesy of Papa. Turns out Papa and Grenell, old college buddies, went on a road trip together. At least that's a very weird modern day version of what their backstory is together. Grenell apparently knew Papa under the name Moon's Eye Sage, and they have begun assisting each other in the research with the Gulthias tree. Wynnie, Fiadh, and Daya, and a goat, and Jot, all return to the Shadespire. The goat promptly becomes dinner for both Jot and Wynnie, as Daya hangs back to discuss something with Papa. Fiadh spending the night in Wynnie's room. Maybe because Wynnie doesn't want to be alone, maybe because Fiadh doesn't want to be alone. And they have both drifted off to sleep. Before diving in to what happens while you sleep, I just want a quick shout out to Chet. Thanks for thinning the veil. That's where all this creepy Wynnie engorging herself and whatever's about to happen next is coming from. So, thanks. I love it when that veil gets thin. But first, Fiadh. You, with wet eyes and cheeks from crying, eventually find sleep, drifting off. But it is not calm or restful. It is instantly hot. You are in a weird stone space that is dark except for the hint of flames at the far horizon. You are instantly aware of hot, acrid breath swirling around you. A vertically pupilled eye opens. Maybe 20 feet from your face, but it feels like it might as well be pressed up against it. That's how massive the eye is. As some massive thing sniffs the air.
You have something different. You smell almost familiar.
Okay. Do I know you?
You might.
This is a question for Joe. Is Anya there?
Yes, she would be listening.
Is she just listening? Or does she take form?
If given the opportunity, she would probably take form, yes.
Anya feels the bindings of this place looser than what she is accustomed to. This place is physical, but only in as much as you can think of it that way.
All right.
I smell the one that was here before, but she is hiding. Come out.
Oh, that's a polite way of saying hello now, isn't it?
What does Anya look like outside of Fia's body?
She's slightly taller than Fia, thinner, more of a lean kind of body type, and has a lot more scars, like in and around her collarbones and chest and neck, and long blonde hair.
Interesting. Once is curiosity. Twice, that is purpose.
Fia and Anya both feel movement in the room as more eyes open up. Massive Leviathan heads surrounding the duo, and you can hear the rattling of heavy chains in the distance.
Well, it is good to see you again in some capacity, I suppose.
To what end? Why are you here? Why do you bring a guest?
Not quite a guest, more like my second.
Fair enough. I still wonder why you really offer though.
As you said, once was curiosity, and the second was because what you asked of the first. Or have you forgotten?
How'd you know that it would help her?
Well, I figure strength for you allows further strength for you to give your daughter. And we did feed her.
To what end, I wonder?
Well, an enemy of my enemy is a potential ally, do you not think?
And who is your enemy?
Less of who and more of what.
As one of the many enemies, I'd like to know more. Maybe we share them.
And what's in it for us?
Not being on my bad side.
Tempting. What do you mean tempting? Just like, what are you doing?
The head behind Fia, scales like black obsidian.
Did you know what's at the bottom of that job?
No, we didn't come here with any ill intent.
The machinations put into motion should be at my beck and call. I'm not some piece to be moved about at the whims of a tiny thing like you. Explain
No.
your reasoning and your enemies will find yourself to be counted among mine.
We have a similar end goal. You seek power for yourself, your people, your freedom, having been imprisoned and shackled in the way that you are. This world has defied the inevitable. As you know yourself, certain things take shape in certain ways and should remain thus. What should have remained for you was stripped away, and ultimately changed the course of destruction.
I smell a third here.
Perhaps.
I'm not accustomed to sharing a fealty of one such as you.
Well, I regret to inform you that we are a package deal. As much as I'm sure we as individuals might prefer that be otherwise, we are innately tied together. Much as yourself.
The eyes look around confused for a bit.
You might be counting wrong then. Are you not subservient, pact-bound to the River Angel?
Indeed. You're not incorrect. She does look favorably upon you.
For now.
As for now, you do us.
As long as this understanding is known, I have a request.
We're listening.
Another of my daughters has been felled.
Where?
Deep in the waters. I cannot pinpoint it, but her essence, it flees from me, and
The voice stops and all the heads start moving around and looking. Somewhere else, but in the same space. Wynnie, you too find yourself fairy buzzing above a stone floor, heat surrounding you, along with hot breath and fire at the horizon.
again you find yourself in my domain. Once is curiosity, but twice is purpose, so I ask, little Fae, what is yours?
Do I see Fia and Anya?
You do not.
Oh, okay. Honestly, it was curiosity again, I think. Joining in with a friend?
Peer pressure by the other one, I see.
No pressure. No pressure.
Any regrets?
No.
Good. Then might I have a name to know you by?
I'm Wynnie.
As you go to say your name, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw. Again, thanks to chat for thinning the veil.
Sneaky.
A 19.
A 19. You do not suffer any ill effects. But as you go to say Wynnie, you feel reaching up through your throat, out of your mouth is a blue-skinned, pale dragon claw that starts clawing its way out of your mouth, engorging itself. You feel yourself about to burst as it starts clawing its way into existence, tearing through the boundaries from wherever it is caged into this space. All of the 5 heads begin to rear up. You see fire kindling in the back of one throat as the green voice speaks up.
Stand by the fallen. Kill him.
What? I say, whoa! As this thing's crawling out of my mouth.
Wynnie, you feel all of a sudden a hand grabbing you at the back of your neck and lurching backwards with impressive speed. Fiadh and Anya, the whole space around you starts to tumble away as everything starts to shake and destroy itself, this space collapsing. Both of you wake up in the room with Wynnie, being yanked out of her bed by Papa and thrown to the back of the room. You see on Winnie's bed in a pile of vomit, a small chitinous silver thing that looks somewhere between a lobster and a cockroach, sprawled out on the bed. And as it says that, its head explodes and that same blue claw begins to retch its way out. I think not, little wretch. The claw pops, joints shattered, and blue blood leaking out onto Winnie's bed as the chitinous dreamling body lies dead.
What the fuck was that?
Wait, what?
Oh my god.
Wynnie, what happened?
I was having a dream. I vomited a creature, and then you threw me out of bed.
What kind of dream? Be specific.
Dream about dragons.
Any particular dragon? Deception
No, I
check?
don't think so. Does she know? Yeah, she knows.
Mm.
He introduced themselves?
Wynnie would know from Arcana checks. You actually know from picture books that you were definitely talking
cool.
to Tiamat.
Then
If your intent was to
I mean, I
withhold,
think-
you can
yeah,
do deception.
then-
if you're not intending
my
to withhold,
intent-
you can modify
no,
that statement.
I'm just about Tiamat. Tiamat?
Papa turns around and looks at Fiadh, and like, in the darkness of this room, Fiadh, you can see that little hint of a green eye behind the mask, looking around frantically. Both of you, just passive insight, can sense a level of consternation in Papa's demeanor that is very uncharacteristic of them.
Inside. 9. They were scared of the lobster? Did I vomit up a lobster in the dream or no?
In the dream, there was no bug. It was just that claw coming out of you.
Okay, but it was a dragon claw.
It was. It was a dragon claw without scales, but it still had the same physiology as one.
Yeah. Ugh, slimy. Yeah, they was scared of it.
Scared of it being what?
That, and I point at the blue mess on my bed. What is that? Was that really? And Winnie's gonna like pat herself. Is that inside of me?
It was because you thought it was. Fiadh, were you having a similar dream?
Yeah, but it wasn't just me.
Who else
Like
was
there was Anya, the other I'm sometimes Anya and sometimes I'm me, but it's the same body, but she looked different in the dream. She didn't look like me in the dream.
Papa looks around to Wynnie just to like visually check in and like, does this add up? Is this making sense to you?
Winnie's looking excited that Anya met Fiadh. Yeah, yes. That's amazing. You got to see each other?
I think so. I don't know what she was doing though. She seemed to know what she was doing, but she also seemed to be pissing Tiamat off, but I don't know exactly. And there was something about a river angel, but I don't know.
She did seem very certain in her actions.
Did
It made me excited.
Papa? I mean, it's nice to put a face to all of the information, I suppose, but I'm still just confused, but also it's now very, very real.
Well, at least we're all on the same page.
I guess. Maybe.
Well, I mean, it was real for us for a while before it was real for you, but now, I guess.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah. I still don't entirely know what's going on, but that does sound. Yeah.
Yeah. We have the same amount of understanding as each other, and that's good enough.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. It's a start.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Papa's just been listening, but the mask has been staring at this bug, and you can see they've pulled out somewhere. It is a dagger, but it is like this long, straight blade with like a hard edge at the bottom. It's not curved, and they're just sort of like shuffling the bug around like you would something that wandered into your campsite, just like probing it with a weapon to make sure you're ready to stab it. Fiadh, if you would like to delve deeper into that, I can help, maybe not tonight. This is a dreamling.
What exactly is that?
How much do either of you know about the Dreamlands? And of course, I'm doing that thing where the GM asks a question of the players, and so you can roll either Arcana or history checks. History is going to be much harder. You could also roll Religion.
Ooh, that might be a better plan. No, history it is.
14.
14
For
on
21.
Arcana? 21 for history?
Yeah.
Okay. 14 on Arcana, you haven't heard anything. You don't remember any pictures or whatnots or anything. 21 for history. The Dreamlands comes up under many different names. It sounds like something that you would have read about, that is just basically like this weird space that exists entirely within the collective unconsciousness and consciousness of every living creature throughout all of the planes. And its usage throughout history is rare, but it does come up typically in the meeting of minds with supernatural entities, negotiations between kingdoms that are highly magical, things that are bizarre and earth-changing can occur in the Dreamlands because it's kind of this weird, nebulous, metaphysical neutral zone. Not a lot is known about it. It is hard to explore, if not impossible to map.
Okay. I mean, I've heard of it, but like, in as much as you can understand a dream.
That's about as much as anyone can hope to know. These things feed off of the energy of dreams. They're native to the Dreamlands, and they typically exist parasitically. But rarely would they come through.
They said something about an assassin from... Where was it?
You didn't hear a location.
Oh, okay. They called him something, though.
I'm going to make a check for Papa. Judging by this claw, I would say this changeling has been warped, modified by something far darker than even the Queen of Dragons. Something that would be eager to claim her title, along with all titles.
And do you have a vague idea what that might be?
I'd rather not say its name after such an incident has occurred. Let's speak later once I can make sure the Shadespire is properly fortified.
Okay. She said something to the other one, to Anya, about a daughter of hers, somewhere in deep in the waters, or deep in the water. I was kind of freaked out, so being honest, I wasn't taking too much notice of what she was saying, but I do remember that.
No, that's good to know. I'll keep it in mind. Nothing comes... That's not specific enough for me to know anything right off the bat, but I can look.
And if the other one speaks or shows up, do you want me to tell you?
That would be good.
Okay.
Only if you want help, though.
Yes, I don't know how much I can do for myself in this instance. I don't really understand what's happening or what happened. Because Wynnie has spoken to her before a few times, I think, and I think that's the first time I've seen her, but she looked familiar, like someone you'd see in a dream.
Wynnie, were there any physical manifestations? Any changes to Fia's body when Anya would be present?
No. Just... I mean... You could tell it wasn't Fia. Just in the way that they kind of talked and moved.
Demeanor.
Yeah. But otherwise, no changes? Not that I don't think so. Anyway, metagaming way-wise, I don't think so either.
Papa finally stands. They've been sort of sitting in a hunch over this weird bug, continuing this conversation.
Can I get a new bed?
Yes, if you'd like to move rooms, you can, but I can... Yeah. They do a few somatic components and prestidigitate all of the yuck
it's a
off.
Yes.
I would say get some sleep, but I don't know how easy that will be for either of you. All the same, it would be good for your health.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure the wards are in place against further incursion.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give Papa a hug before bed.
Papa, again, normally very stiff, actually like puts a hand on your back and like gives a few pats.
Thanks for saving me.
You're welcome. From now on,
Love it. Mm.
for the both of you, until we can figure out what's happening, just as a rule of thumb, treat dreams as if they are real.
Okay.
It is difficult to control the subconscious impulse to make them real. So at the very least, mind your behaviors while you're in the dreams.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if I can necessarily control what anybody else does, but I can, speaking for myself, sure.
That's all I can ask. If there's
Okay.
anything else you need, let me know. Otherwise, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Papa leaves. Do either of you do anything else before going to bed?
Fia's probably gonna take her bedroll out and sleep on the floor instead of getting back onto the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Sitch's bed is like always damp and moss covered anyway, so it probably wasn't overly comfortable.
It's kind
yeah,
of the
I get a
same as
comfy
being
bed.
in the dungeon, though.
It's very, very similar to what you've been experiencing the past
Yeah,
couple of
That's
days.
very true. Get into my nice clean bed now. It's cleaner than it was before I got in.
Much cleaner than it was, yeah.
It's no more goat's blood.
You all tuck in. It's a good thing you made that con save, because otherwise it was going to do damage to you on the way out.
Oh, I think I'm okay. Maybe.
Physically.
You both go to sleep. Fia, you dream one more time, and it is very brief. For a moment, you have that weird inner ear sensation of movement happening. And you feel like you open your eyes, and that far off flashing of lightning, followed by a slow peal of thunder. You feel salt spray on your face as you see your bedroll on the deck of a ship with no one at the helm, lost in the storm. But as quickly as you woke up, it's almost like you're willing yourself back to sleep. Like, no, I've had enough. And you eventually wake up in the morning. You can now process those long rests that I made you withhold.
Thank you.
Hi. Long rest completed.
Long rest complete.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So, the way this will work is that you basically have a couple of days of downtime. You have the full access to the Shade Spire, which includes, remember that danger room that we did our very first non-streamed session in? You have access to that. You have access to a wealth of information in Papa's private library. with Papa's escort, of course, but you do have access to many things. Is there anything you would like to do in terms of training yourselves, in terms of researching something? Any sort of downtime tasks you would like to do over the next 5 days?
Fia will probably do some training to kind of get the restlessness out of her body. But she'll mostly try and focus on researching what the heck is happening to her. And with Papa's help, see if she can open up some level of understanding or communication with Anya.
Sure. Give me, let me see, 132. I'm using some downtime rules. I get to crack books that I don't normally get to crack. This is fun. It's fun for a little rules lawyer nerd. Now, because you are in the Shadespire, research tasks, as long as Papa would reasonably have access to that information, do not have a cost associated. You can just spend time to research, because you don't have to pay for access to a library or anything. The perks of being in Papa's employ. So yeah, give me an intelligence check, and you can add medicine to the roll. If you have proficiency in medicine, you can add your proficiency bonus to the roll.
23.
23. You quickly find that Papa's library is stuffed to the gills with, as Wynnie would say, picture books. Lots of arcane diagrams. Lots of very esoteric information about the body and specifically the mind. It is very much focused in terms of a collection on aspects of mentality, on the nature of dreams, and on even the nature of the identity of souls. You do find information related to this. It is an occurrence known as vessel syndrome, wherein multiple souls, minds, the terminology fluctuates depending on who is describing this theorem, occupy the same body. In terms of measures of interacting amongst the different souls, it is difficult, as many have levels of disbelief. It can cause bouts of insanity, bouts of paranoia, because there's a lot of issues of identity with not knowing who you are, and sort of things I imagine Fia is feeling
Currently
in this
dealing
moment.
with.
Yeah, Fia is definitely seeing like, oh, okay, I'm not losing my mind. This is symptomatic. This is part of this exploration. She's got at least a grapple on the general frameworks of this, and there are several experimental treatments. None are meant to eliminate vessel syndrome entirely. Instead, they are meant to create a cohesive whole out of the disparate parts, making a functioning ecosystem of personalities. And one of the methods has been basically the creation of meditative routines, dream practices, lucid dreaming, in order to create mental spaces, constructs of the mind that different personalities can meet in. And you realize that like Fia is probably recognizing, oh, okay, accidentally that happened with that last meeting with Tiamat.
Okay, cool. Yeah. She's gonna focus on like trying to teach herself lucid dreaming in that case, and like trying to create that mind space or mind palace for herself. And the other souls within their vessel.
Because you rolled super high, what I'll say is you can also attempt a check to be able to start that progress. So give me a wisdom check.
22.
22. It is, especially with Papa's help, Fiadh is actually finding it rather natural. Rather just like using a muscle that was there that she didn't know existed. But now that she's got like awareness of it, like, oh, there's an arm there, I can flex it. Like it's immediately muscle memory she didn't know she had. What does, and if you don't have an idea, I have an idea, but what does this framework, this construct look like that Fiadh is trying to create?
Kind of want to hear what your idea is, really, Matt.
my idea was the ship.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We agree.
We agree. We have a
We
goal.
agree. Yeah. No, I think that's the very Fiadh, but that specific dream where she woke up for a second, I think part of the reason why she would have been like, "I'm done with this," is because she very much felt like that in that moment, like a ship lost in a storm with no navigator and no means of seeing the stars or seeing where they were going or if they were going to hit a rock or land or anything. So I do think she's trying to recreate that, but where she's in some semblance of control, where she can get to the helm or at least raise the sails or something.
Yeah. You are on that ship. It takes the whole 5 days, but on that last day, every night, you have had this same recurring dream of being somewhere on this ship, either below deck, rising to the deck, and as soon as you make deck, lightning strikes, there is a lurching in the ship, and you go back into the nothingness of sleep, or you just wake up in that sort of weird timelessness that, like, you're getting a full 8 hours, you're getting full night's rests, but it's just that weird, like, every sleep feels like these few seconds on the ship, and then you're awake again. That last night, Fiadh is able to sort of grab hold of things. She wakes up on the ship, holding one of the lines up to the sails, and is like, you could instantly feel like you have been holding this rope for hours. And across the deck, you see Anya. What is Anya doing? Is Anya leaning against the side, not caring? Is she holding a rope? What is Anya doing on this ship?
Within, she would probably also be holding a rope. But she would see herself more like the captain.
Mm-hmm.
And Fiadh is
That's way too upbeat.
barely
Sorry.
a deckhand.
Are Anya and Fiadh getting along? Are they trying to move this ship in the same direction? What is happening as this ship is being tossed in the storm?
If Anya is probably barking orders in Fia's direction, like tie it off, do something. And Fia is just like scrambling to respond in the way that someone who's just gotten their sea legs is like, okay, I kind of know how to do this, but also I don't know what I should be doing next. They're wary of each other. Especially Fia, because Fia has no understanding of Anya, whereas Anya has watched Fia and in her eyes looked over her and looked after her. But Anya has a very different opinion of Fia. She considers Fia reckless and endangering to them. So she would probably very much be a stern guiding hand rather than a kind guiding hand.
Mm-hmm. As they're barking as Anya is barking orders over at Fia, and Fia is just kind of like scrabbling and trying to do things. Fia like gets her fingers kind of caught up in the ropes, and they start to like do that, like wind catches into one of the sails, and they're starting to unspool very, very quickly to the point that things could be very dangerous very quickly. Fia feels another hand on hers, just sort of pulling gently on those fingers and loosening them for the ropes. When Fiadh looks behind, there is this sort of like invisible body that salt water has sprayed against, to where it's sort of running across a face with no mouth, and little tiny like barnacles clicking and clacking in the free space of air. It's okay. If you want a different captain, he's still here. And Fia's glances over at the helm. There's no one at the wheel, and the wheel is just spinning wildly in one direction, taken by the tide, the rudder going every which way. In the clouds behind the wheel, there is the shape of a massive, finned humanoid with a bident. Hand placed vaguely over the wheel, as if it's trying to keep it under control. And then Fiadh wakes up.
Okay. Okay. That was close. Okay, that was better. Who the heck was that?
Wynnie, what are you doing with your 5 days?
Nothing as cool as that. Winnie was just gonna pull down every single book about dragons that she bloody can. Because she's used to being able to pick up every book in Papa's library and almost read every language. And not being able to read Draconic in this sunless citadel did her noggin in, seeing as she's never had to worry about language before, and it's very confusing to her as to why she doesn't just know it. So she's forcing herself to read a bunch of books on dragons, whether or not they're in Draconic or not, but she just pulls out, imagine like one big desk in the library, and it's just piled with books, and she's flitted around the entire library to get as many and any book that has any mention of it.
Nice.
Even books that are in Draconic, maybe not even about dragons.
I'll say one thing about the shape of this library. It is a smallish room, but it's perfectly circular and just stacked high, shelves upon shelves upon shelves, all of these things with scrolls in them. There is normally, when you've come in before, Papa always leads you in, or you come in and Papa's already there. There's usually just a writing desk, a small little desk with lots of quills and inks and things. A small-ish but growing stack of bound blank books and journals leans over to one side. You know this to be Papa's notes, where they put all of their research and things. There is, however, occasionally when you ask for it, when you are needing more books out at one time, rather than having it happen on the floor, as childlike as that might be.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there's no big table, Winnie just scooches that table with the inks over and does it on the floor. But
Papa does create. You see them sort of wave their hand, and smoke just sort of billows up off the floor and solidifies into this long, simple hardwood table.
That's all I need. And I flitter up every shelf.
I'll give you 2 options for goals here. There is ample material here written in Draconic. Do you want to try and learn the Draconic language, or do you want to, like, just learn about dragons and delve more into what might be happening with all this Tiamat and other weird stuff?
I feel like I'd like to get maybe a start on learning Draconic, but I stick to learning about dragons. So I want to do mostly focus on dragons, Tiamat, and maybe just like about that in general, what she was saying. And then on top of that, just keeping in the back of my mind, like, oh, this is draconic. Maybe I can take a couple of notes here for just like getting a start on a handle of the language.
Sure.
If I could maybe split it that way, so like maybe like 30-70.
Yeah.
28.
2080. So what I'll do is make an Arcana check, and then make an Intelligence check with disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, natural 19, so 24 on my Arcana.
Nice.
And then a disadvantage what? Intelligence?
Just a straight intelligence check.
Straight intelligence. A natural 20 and a 14, so that is a 17. No,
17.
Wait, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, 17.
Very good. That is damn good. That is some multitasking. I'm just making sure that there's not a separate. Okay. I will say that since like there's going to be a lot of overlap there between like using this library to learn Draconic and also researching dragons, since those materials, that Venn diagram is almost a circle, you are able to kind of like blend those two exercises together pretty well. Very quickly you work through like the basics of Draconic, like a quick primer on letters and pronunciation and phonics and things like that. Enough that like when you're reading the word, it doesn't take too long for you to sound it out, and then you're able to very quickly cross-reference it in these big, like pure lexicons of Draconic and looking up these definitions. So you are able to, in that time, determine that the thing that tried to claw its way out of you is called Volkth, the Destructor. The all-consuming hunger, the endless oblivion, the gaping maw between the stars. Volkth, so general primer on dragons, it is a name. Vulkth.
Yeah.
General primer on dragons. There is a draconic pantheon. Dragons are the gods of magic. Magic falls firmly under their domain. The chief god of magic is called Ouroboros, who is the endless serpent, the first dragon, the last dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Each of the other schools of magic have a god overseeing them. Tiamat used to be one, and she fell from grace in a betrayal, and she is now known as the dragon god of betrayal.
Mm-hmm. Can I read up on the betrayal, just so I can get a personal opinion about it? Because I'm dealing with her personally.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't have to tell me the story.
No.
If you just want to like send it to me later or something.
This actually leans in well. Basically, Tiamat's fall came after the first fall, who is Volkth. Volkth used to be the conjuration god over all conjuration magic, shepherd over the gateways, the dragon at every door. Basically, you could not bring anything from one world to another or from one place to another without Volkth saying, yeah, that's chill. I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Volkth slowly went mad through the corruption of an entity known as Salek. These books don't go into detail about that entity. It is just left as Salek the Corruptor got their claws into Volkth. And Volkth is now a dragon almost in name only. Volkth exists at the center of the infinite planes of the abyss. He is just a mouth. He is a mouth with arms and wings and teeth sprawling out of it, attempting to consume all of reality at the same time.
Okay. And that's what was trying to crawl out of my mouth.
That was what was trying to claw out of your mouth. Basically, anything that Volkth can eat, Volkth can use its abilities. Volkth encompasses and contains within it the domain and powers of anything it consumes. So if it consumes...
I had consumed Volk. Do I gain his powers?
Nope. You with the sort of like leanings of Papa is sort of leading you into this theorem that Volk might be using the Dreamlands as a possible means of escape. Currently, Volk is basically trapped in an interplanar multiverse gravity well that is the Abyss. All the infinite layers of the Abyss are basically like skittering and fragmenting versions of reality that could have been but have not been.
And has this got to do with the goo I ate, or has this got to do with just the game?
Do you share the goo you ate? Do you share that anecdote with Papa at any point?
Yeah, I reckon I ask for it. Or a snack when I'm feeling hungry next. Because he
You
would
are
also
still
notice that I'm
consuming
very, very hungry. Yeah, he isn't saving money now that Seizures
No.
come on.
There's been no benefits. One kid left, but same meal budget.
Yeah, yep.
And
lots of raw meats now.
Papa is so sorry to finish one tangent before we start the new one.
Yeah, sorry.
Basically, after Volk was corrupted and fell, Ouroboros sanctioned him away and split him off, and he's off in his own little world now. Yes, king of the munchies. God forbid Volk take a hit. Man, the whole multiverse would be doomed. Don't give him a gummy. After that happened, Tiamat basically said, Ouroboros, you're weak. You allowed this shit to happen. It wouldn't have happened on my watch. I'm taking over. And there was a big-ass war. Tiamat was chained up and jammed into the first layer of the Hells. And it is there that she remains.
Well, I don't actually have a... It's not bad. Tiamat didn't do anything wrong, really.
When you're looking, like when you're reading these, you are getting like both neutral and opposing viewpoints on the whole event. It really depends on the author as to whether or not Tiamat is the bad guy and she was trying to unmake the world and all this shit, or if she was just standing up for the sake of reality and like trying to like... It's the whole thing of like, okay, yeah, a totalitarian could do bad things. They could also keep all of the really awful shit from like in line and, you know, the rule of law, that sort of thing. There's tension in the narrative depending on which book you're reading it from.
I mean, there's going to be a leader, so why not be someone that actually wants things to be right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I also, while researching this stuff, at some point make note on maybe how people give offerings to gods in general and stuff like that? Like, if that would count. Obviously, that offering bowl was like enchanted to like go to her. That's not something I'm looking to do, but like, would there be like I could light a candle and have a little photo and say a little prayer?
I would say that's not germane to the research you're doing right now. That could be something to follow up with, but you would know just offhand, like you would have an inclination that religion is kind of what you make of it. Cool. Like whatever you find to be a devotion, you do it, and that might actually be something that you talk with Fiadh about, because Fiadh is technically a cleric.
Oh yeah, cool. Cool.
You do know, I will actually say, just side tangent on that. Papa, very few books on religion. Like the only reason you're finding this much information about dragons is because dragons have their religion has heavy overlap with like schools of magic, thoughts on magic, magical dynamics. So like the only reason there's this much lore about the religion of dragons and their place in the pantheon is because they are germane to magic.
Okay.
The next thing that happens... Oh, I've lost all the trains. They've left the station. Thomas has turned into that weird spider train from that one game.
Sorry, I kept diverging.
No, it's all good. We're both jumping around. I think that the thing that you were asking, it was about the black sludge. Yes. Papa, at one point, after noticing that you were eating them house and home, is basically just like, I'm not going to force this on you. But there has been a touch. You are marked by Volk. I think that is why he was able to use you so successfully as a gateway in that dream.
Mm-hmm.
I might
What's
be able
that
to
mean?
purge it, but if this is something you want to explore, something you want to better understand, I'm not going to force a specific viewpoint of normalcy on you.
If this is what is connecting me to Volk, it also connects me to Saoirse.
How so?
She followed the black blood. She couldn't. She was the only one that could see it. She was the only one that could see a lot of things.
You see Papa make a note in their journal, and like even at a distance you can see in common just black blood. Do you think this black blood is related to Volk, or is it something else? You said that you had acquired this weird hunger after Dern.
But it was because I ate black blood that came from Dern.
Was it black blood or black sludge? Unfortunately, without
know the
alchemical
difference.
testing, I don't know how accurately we can make a distinction, but it's something to note.
I didn't know black blood was something specific. I was just using it as a descriptor.
Are you comfortable talking about this in front of Fiadh?
Yeah, she was there.
I just wanted to make sure. Grenl and I have made some progress, and I thought I'd share my findings with the two of you. It might be relevant to this discussion.
Okay. Shall I go grab them?
I'll meet you in the
Let
sitting
her
room.
off. Okay. And I go up and be at what I am.
Fiadh currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Papa wants to talk.
Quick check. Good talk or bad talk?
Good talk. I was talking about Saoirse and he cut me off and said he wanted to include the rest of the group. So it could be about anything, but I think it's good.
Okay. I'll follow your lead, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
Go meet Papa in the sitting room.
In the sitting room, once again, that warm hearth, double scimitars glistening above it, a glaive off to the side, and dozens of other little curios and knickknacks and trophies from Papa's long life. At this point, it is painfully obvious that Daya has not been in the Shadespire for these days. Papa sits you down. There's tea and biscuits and all sorts of food. They've gotten in the habit of bringing extra, knowing that Wynnie is apparently ravenous at all times. Jot has been content, by the way, to wander about invisible, tailing one or both of you at various points of the day, and just offering unasked for advice from the sidelines. Not malicious, just annoying in an adorable kind of way. I thought I should report on what Grenl and I have found so far with the tree. First things first, there is no sign of Saoirse or any other body or existence inside of it. Have also determined, and they sort of look at Wynnie, notably in this. You said black blood. The sap of the Golthias tree is not sap. It is blood, and it is black.
Oh. No, that's not what I ate then. I don't think.
What you ate?
Do you remember when Durden turned into the black sludge and Caesar and I both tried some?
Yeah, it was like
But was he affected by the tree?
I don't know if he was affected by the tree necessarily or something worse.
I've put in a request with Grenell to see if any more of that sludge remains and we can do some testing on it. The primary floor has become dangerous for them. Calstrix expands her domain. But so far,
Get
they
in
are
through
safe.
the top though, right?
What now?
Just get in through the top part and come back down.
Well, we can always teleport there directly to the tree, so it's not a problem for us.
Right.
This is mainly to ensure that Calstrix does not encroach onto the grove and damage any of the tree or our research.
I don't think she's want to go down through that pit entrance anyway. At this stage, she probably wouldn't even fit.
So far, she seems hesitant. White dragons are not typically subterranean, but she seems happy enough to make this top level of the Citadel her home for now. Let's hope it stays that way. I will continue researching this black sludge along with the tree. So far, the Gulthias tree has confirmed some of my suspicions about it. I need more time in order to ascertain its truth, but I believe that my plans will be able to accelerate now that I have a proper sample. I will be in need of your services at some point in the future to get the next piece of my research. But for now, I don't have anything pressing.
Okay.
That is, unless you want to potentially aid Daya.
I was kind of wondering where she was, being honest.
Yeah.
She needed to leave the same night that you all got back to the Shadespire. They had some things come up. I assisted in the research necessary to point them in the right direction, and I have recently received word that they might need help.
Well, we should go then.
Yes. Yeah, then we absolutely will go.
Then I can send you on your way right away if you wish.
Yeah, we need some rations.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. On that topic, Wynnie, I can potentially remove whatever this mark is on you, or I can leave it intact if curiosity is your pursuit.
It's up to you, Winnie. I know I stood in the black blood down in when we were fighting Belloc, and it didn't have the same effect on me as when you and Saoirse chowed down on Dern. So
The mask moves over to regard Fiadh at mention of this new information, just like, what do I have living in my tower? These people just injecting themselves with every bit of random magical shit that they find.
we had a job to get done.
Yeah, Tiamat was pretty upset with me bringing Volt to the dream, and I didn't do that on purpose.
No,
But that can't be good for me.
I would certainly caution you against any further meetings in dream space with anyone.
Then maybe we should get rid of him.
It's entirely up to you.
I already thought he was gone, really, when I vomited up that lobster claw.
At this point, I don't think there's any such thing as making Volk gone.
Gone from me?
Gone from you, closing his portal through you, yes.
Yeah, let's do that. Is that why I'm so hungry? Because it's just a portal here?
There's one way to find out.
Yeah, let's get rid of it. Am I like emancipated?
You
It's like so skinny.
you are not
Or am I-
you are not emaciated. You are
Emaciated.
Uh,
Emancipated. I just said the wrong
You've been
word. I'm an
emancipated
idiot.
this whole time.
I've been emancipated this whole time.
You are not emaciated. You're on that region of weight where it's like you're not gaining the way that you should be given the amount of food you're putting down. Where's she putting it? You see Papa like reaches up and touches the mask. Freezes. And they scoot the mask over. Normally the eye is only on the left side. They look out from around the mask, showing the right eye. Izanagi. A vertical slitted green eye shapes itself into what looks like a star that twists. And you feel a weird warble go through you before they place the mask back on. You should be fine now. And you do indeed feel that pit in your stomach that you've just kind of been tossing snacks into this whole time. It is gone.
I do feel better. Are you alright?
That takes a good amount of my energy, but I am fine.
They have a face. I know that sounds like a weird question,
Give me a
but for some
perception
reason,
check.
all I could picture
Just a
was
shadow
like
and an eye. Just an eye floating
Yeah,
in
that's
space.
all I
Yeah.
can picture right now, and it's making me
I love
freak
it.
out. No, Ian.
Great
what
default
was it?
assumption. Perception.
13.
There was a face, pale, very sallow cheekbones. Hard to say any sort of gender either way. There is a little bit of some sort of like coloration, some dark like blushing kind of thing, but it wasn't quick enough for you to see it.
No, that's all good. I just wanted to know at least if there was
a face.
face and skin.
Face and skin.
Because out of nowhere, I was like, wait a second, have I just see a black shadow and an eye? Because I don't actually know if there's a face there.
They do always wear like this kind of hood up around the mask, so like it is a little bit like woo, like in shadow, tough to see any facial features even without that mask on for a second.
Does Papa even have a physical form? I was curious.
You would
about
guess
it.
absolutely yes. Like you have seen the skin of their fingers, right? That their fingers are not gloved, so you do see that part.
Yeah.
Flip this, entering in at the most awkward of times.
You're welcome.
If you are set to leave, I can get you to where I think is maybe a 2 days journey from where Dio went.
Okay. And do you have any knowledge of what we might need going into this situation?
I will not share tales out of turn, but I can tell you the information I know. Dio went in pursuit of an old dwarven fortress, colloquially called the Forge of Fury. Hence my Angry Day shirt. But otherwise known as its proper name, Kundrakar. I know very little else, other than it is located in a small mountain in the area known as Inari's Tears. The mountain itself is called the Stone Tooth.
Okay.
The only level of preparation I can give you is be ready for a fight. That is the only.
That's easy.
That's the only thing I imagine would have kept Daya, or put Daya into a circumstance where they would have felt the need to call for help.
It's probably rats.
Mm-hmm. I
Could
really
very
don't
well
like
be
rats.
We never did get them those kinky boots.
Oh yeah, can I buy her some like knee-high boots?
Yes,
for me?
you would have like an evening to basically put your shopping list together. We will do that off screen, and Papa gathers you together. Very quickly performs hand signs that you vaguely remember from the first time you went away from the Shadespire to the Sunless Citadel. The ground finds your feet, and you are in an area of rolling green hills that are dappled with lakes and tarns and all of these little bits of wetlands. Not wetlands in this sort of like miasmic swamp sort of sense, but instead a very pleasant atmosphere of nature unbridled. And the day is sort of calm and reasonably sunny. Nice summer weather. And give me perception checks, both of you.
13.
9.
9? Okay. Off in the distance, you see like some hills kind of rising up. The terrain gets a little bit more uneven, to the point that like, okay, that's probably the direction of any sort of like mountain or hill or anything like that. Yeah. Papaz says, sort of orients themselves and then points towards off the hills that you both notice. That's most likely a direction to the Stone's Tooth.
Okay. Guess we'll head that way then.
I rolled a 98, by the way, on the teleportation table, which is on target. So,
That's good. Great.
Yep. I couldn't remember which way the D100 went for teleportation, so I had to quickly look it up. You want it high. Low is very, very bad.
Very bad.
Very, very bad.
That happened the last time we were
Yeah.
going to the...
Took y'all 3 teleports to get to Sunless Citadel. Now this time,
Oh, yes.
Papa was not aiming for specifically Kundrakar. It was just sort of like, okay, I'm just aiming for Anari's Tears, that area. So it was a little bit easier for them to get the mark.
Okay.
Anything else you want to say to Papa before you are let loose into the wilds?
Do we have a way of contacting you this time? Or a rod?
Little stone.
I'll check on you.
Will you let me know if you hear anything about Seisha at all?
I will.
Straight away. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I gave one of my last little tools that's useful for this to Daya before they left. So, but I have other means of I have other means of contacting you at the very least. So, I
Okay.
can still do it that way.
All right then.
If there's nothing else, I will leave you to it.
Yeah.
You see them do the hand signs again, and this time, they are gone.
Well, I guess we get walking? Well, you can fly. I'll get walking.
When he starts like walking her little, like she never really does, but now she's walking in the air. Like.
Thanks.
Fiadh or Wynnie, one of you, whoever's leading the way, give me a survival check and a D12 roll.
Okay.
I've got pretty good survival.
I think we both do, but no, go ahead.
Now you'd be leading. If your survival's good, then you would have been leading.
What? It's not that good,
Oh,
but it's okay.
I got +6.
Oh yeah, no, you're better. Yeah.
Rangers.
I already
You don't have the favorite terrain feature, right? You took the Tasha's features.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. A 16 +6.
Ooh, very
Can't
nice.
22.
22. That's one.
Very good. And give me a D12 roll. Either you can roll it or
D12.
Joe can roll it. I'm happy
Yeah,
either way.
Joe, you roll the D12.
11.
Ooh. No. Oh no.
I hate it when you have that reaction.
No. Oh, it looks like my internet's cutting out. I'll just have to
Oh,
see you guys
no.
later.
You make your way up into the hills of Inari's Tears. Sun begins to set. The night is warm. The insects are buzzing. Pebble. Give me a D20 roll with a +2 modifier.
Oh god, sorry, I wasn't expecting.
Scrambling.
You said D20 with a what modifier?
+2.
16.
16. Okay. Pebble, it went well. You and your team came down this far. You followed the orc warband south. And you have found the Dwarven Enclave. You were able to get a little bit of information before going in too far. The rest of the crew... Haley, what was your character's name? I'm sorry. I should have written this
I
down.
was just thinking about it then, and I just was like, I don't actually.
Nala, isn't it?
Nala,
Nala.
yes.
Yeah, Nala. Nailed it.
Nala and the rest of your of those that followed you down here, they have returned north to the King's Peaks. You have not, because of something very strange that happened the night before they left. You dreamt. And once again, you dreamt of water. Cold, dark water. But rather than a lake like you've seen before, this water was in a cave. And rather than the eyes of some great beast lurking on the horizon, you saw them peering up out of the water. Shimmering flecks of silver swirling all around. And a deep sense when you awoke that you were stuck in mud. There was something rooting you to the spot. So the group has left back for the King's Peaks. And you, trusting what the Sage of the Flowing Sky has told you before, to trust when your heart tells you to stay grounded or to jump. You've stayed. How would you be traveling in the area around the Stone Tooth? What would you be doing? Would you be camping, and how would you be exploring the area?
Yeah, probably camping. Probably staying like kind of high where she can on like the mountain. Sometimes kind of like the goats, you know.
Yeah.
Just because that's what she's gotten used to. She doesn't really like the sky very much. It freaks her out. And so if she can stay, you know, next to the stone or in caves or anything, I think that makes her.
There are a few rock outcroppings and like escarpments near the Stone Tooth that make that a little bit doable. You do know that some of those orcs are patrolling around, so you're doing a decent job of staying hidden. Fiadh, and Wynnie, how are you traveling? Are you traveling stealthily? Are you traveling quickly? Or are you traveling kind of in the middle?
Kind of in the middle, I think.
I think, yeah, middle, because Daya said help, not
Mm-hmm.
come see what I'm doing. It's
Right.
a call for help.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was a little bit of urgency, but also help.
We don't know where
so
we are.
there must be danger. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Give me perception checks, both of you. And Pebble, also give me a perception check.
Sure.
And Pebble, also give me a survival check. Just do all the checks.
15.
15,
22.
22,
All right. My perception is a 14,
14,
and survival is 23.
23. Awesome. Pebble, you're feeling pretty secure. You found a nice little like cleft overhang that you've been able to make a natural lean to. So when you've been scouting around, you've always been able to kind of come back here, keep your tracks hidden, and using it as a base of operations. As twilight is setting into darkness, and the sun is truly leaving the world behind, a note, the sun never sets here. It just goes away. It fades from existence in the sky. And that scar that runs the full length of the sky above brightens as darkness comes into a tear in reality of stars and planetoids twinkling in existence far away, all sort of haloing past and around the giant gray, vaguely luminescent moon that hangs in the sky. Pebble, you notice two things. Fiadh and Wynnie, you also notice two things. One, you see both Fiadh and Wynnie, you see a little trail of smoke winding its way up out of a weird clump of trees that kind of grows up towards a rocky point. A couple 100 yards away from a much taller peak that is just a bare bit of stone jutting up into the sky. As you're making your way through these dense woods that start to surround and grow out of the grasslands below further in the valley, you see a road winding its way up into the mountainside, up towards that bare, rocky peak. Pebble, you see two figures, one fluttering about and one walking through the dense forest with what best could be described as a battle skirt on. The second thing that you both notice is the same thing for each group. Up ahead, up in the sky, stars start to wink out, not because they are going away, not because of clouds, but because of bodies raining down out of the sky. The remnants of worlds dead, of worlds eaten and lost, have fallen into the world in what is known to the people who live here as a corpse storm. And you will be all rolling initiative next week.
Dang it!
But for now, thank you for rolling that 11. I love you dearly.
I love you too, but also I'm mad about it.
But for now, we're gonna have to leave that unresolved, because we have some other tales to attend to. Daya had a very important conversation. Daya, you have just returned to the Shadespire. The Sunless Citadel is far away, with gods only know what, as a result of the recent offering to Tiamat. But that's neither here nor there. What is here is that scroll you found with dwarven script on it, and burning questions left unanswered by the visions of Vidapel still in your head. The other two, Wynnie and Fiadh, have left to their rooms, and you are alone with Papa. What do you do?
All right, I don't need... I'm sorry, I'm going to be curt about this. It's been a very long time, and I would so much like to just go to sleep, but I need answers more than anything. Can you, with the minimal amount of nonsense, tell me what this is?
The mask kind of rolls back and studies the scroll. Can I have it?
You may see it.
I need to inspect it.
You may inspect it, but it is mine.
Absolutely.
All right. Gingerly and worryingly hands it over.
They take it and examine the outside very carefully, scrutinizing it. Where did you find it?
In one of the dragon rooms in the dungeon where you sent us. Very early. Saoirse was there. It was very early. I don't quite remember.
You see them fetch a few small tools, similar to what you've seen Wynnie and Saoirse use before. And they slip it underneath the little cap and just kind of test around. It's not trapped.
What are you doing?
Opening it. It is a scroll case. I imagine there's some sort of document
Yes.
within.
It's more curiosity than anything. I want to know anything I can about this
Certainly.
artifact. It's left me with questions I don't believe I'll ever have answers to, but I'm trying.
If you'd like help with those questions, she takes the cap off. I'm happy to help.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
They slowly ferret out a little bit of paper that's been rolled up, and you can tell just at a glance it's old. It's very aged. It's got that dry, like, careful with your hands, it might break at any moment kind of sense to it. They unroll it very carefully. There's very little on here, but there is a word. Kundrakar. As well as Dwarven script.
Yes. Interesting. Can you read the Dwarven script? I don't read Dwarvish, unfortunately.
I can. It provides very little information other than another name, Durgeddon.
Good. I've heard Kundrakar before. Do you know what that is? Is it a person? Is it a thing?
Off the top of
Are
my
you
head,
aware?
no. But if you'd like, I can go and conduct some research.
Can I just come with you? Can I help?
An extra pair of hands is always helpful.
Fantastic.
They let the paper roll itself up again, put it back into the scroll case. They don't cap it, they just sort of carry both parts, and lead you out of this little sort of sitting tea room that you've been in before, down a hall of the Shadespire, and all of these halls are curved ever so slightly with the nature of the tower. Leads you down and into another room. This room is, again, another circular room, stacked full with books and scroll work. It is a library. It is not a large library in terms of space, but it is a massive library in terms of contents, as it's walled of floor to ceiling scroll work and bookwork everywhere. And there is a small writing desk as well, set up with all manner of ink and parchment, and you can see several books actually stacked off to the side that look not like part of the collection, but part of a secondary, like, observation set of tomes, journals, and places to take notes. The exact statements on the scroll was, the remaining few By order of Durgeddon the Black, we have created a secret dwarven redoubt. None shall find us. However, and that is where the statement ended.
Do you have magic? Can you cast anything on this scroll? Is there a way to inspect it for properties that would cause... Can I do a wisdom saving throw? Because I know how to progress this, but Dia does not want to
Sure.
say everything to Papa.
Yeah.
Okay. So the actual question is, Dia's wondering to ask Papa if there's something on this that would cause hallucinations. Or visions, rather.
Yeah.
I think there's still a very small part of her that's like, maybe this is all
Suspicious.
made up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is not actually who I am. Maybe someone has cast something on me and it's wild. Okay, I have rolled a 7. Plus 4 wisdom, so 11?
11. It's up to you. What does an 11 mean for Dia in terms of what they would say in this moment?
I think Dia's desperate enough that they're just like, fuck it. If it gets me out of here, I don't care anymore. So they're just listen, I touched this, it caused me to have visions. I don't know why. If you could tell me why, that would be very helpful. If we can figure out what Kundraka is, that would be great. I know that I'm not getting home anytime soon, but I would like to make progress, and I am sick of watching people I care about vanish. So, however I need to do this, I just need information.
They take a step back from the writing desk and just kind of look you over. Do you mind if I give you a closer inspection?
You won't hurt me.
No.
Alright.
They walk up and just sort of splay their fingers, and you can see up close their fingers are dexterous, lithe, thin, and long, but with scar tissue at the joints. Like they've done some sort of work. Hours and hours and hours of fine-tuning dexterous work. It looks like the fingers of someone who is a master at violin. Someone who can do magic with their fingers. Not in the literal sense, but that expertise has come at a cost of time and rigor and time. And the tendons are worn and thin. They come close.
So like my fingers.
Yeah. A craftsman recognizes craft.
Yep.
They come close and just sort of, you see this little veil pass over, and then it quickly recedes back. I can detect no alterations to your mind's key. Without wanting to arouse too much suspicion, I want you to know that I am an expert in these sorts of things. I also don't see any indication of glyphs, spell components, gem residue, anything that I would suspect on a scroll that has been tampered with or is meant to maliciously infect a mind.
Alright.
You are divine-blooded, yes?
Yes. Not intentionally.
Fickle-made and fickle involved. Divine agents are not always... It's not always of your own choice to be involved in their plots, is it?
I have found that very little of my life is my own choice.
They mutter something that you maybe catch. What languages do you know?
I know Celestial, Common, And infernal.
You hear an infernal. Thousands of worlds, same schemes.
Is this something I've heard before?
No, this seems like some sort of phrase. It feels very rote in the way that it's said. Papa has probably said this many times, but it's not like a well-known idiom.
It's not like, oh God, I just tried to pull a Catholic thing out of my ass and that didn't happen.
It's not like a Hail Mary it's not any of that.
Not like the do better and to you as well, and also with your spirit or whatever it is nowadays.
No. And to you, yeah.
Sorry.
No,
and
it is
peace
not.
Be with you. That's what it is.
Yes, there it is. No, it is not it's not one of those. It's
okay.
It's said with the tone of a well-rehearsed curse. Something that is just muttered under the breath.
I think Daya then in that moment in Infernal says, and the same curse upon all the worlds.
Papa stops and is just like clearly taken aback at being heard. That was not something they said with the intention of being heard and understood. So you've caught them a bit off guard and it shows. They quickly kind of segue to cover. Why you're receiving whatever visions you're receiving, I cannot answer that question. I can try and answer what this scroll is about, what it might mean. I'll get you everything I can on Durgeddon and Kundrakar.
I appreciate that.
If you would like to help, you can.
Yes. Of course.
Might take a while. I know you are tired.
I can rest when I'm dead.
Those who say that often find death far too close. But I understand the sentiment.
And curse upon all the worlds.
They start moving about very quickly through the shelves. Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Ooh. 18 on the dice. +1, 19.
19. That is very good. So combined, you two get a massive total. So it actually, I'll say this: would Daya want the answers faster, as efficiently as possible, or is Daya tempted to do any snooping in this library?
Oh, Daya's 100% snooping. This is not.
What are you snooping for?
I think Daya wants to know what the fuck Papa's doing. What are they doing down there? Is it connected to the vision that they had? Because they keep on hearing things about a crown and a cage, and it's like semi-disparate things on a conspiracy board that are just not quite connected by the right points yet.
You need a little bit more red thread.
Exactly. And so like trying to find the red thread in there. I think also anytime they see anything about Vitapel, they're gonna go grab that and like kind of secret it away. Like not read it right now, but like figure out a way to read it later. And yeah, any of the names that they've heard, anything that they have seen, anything that like feels that has the same taste, I guess, or the same vibe as the visions that they've been having, they are down to look at. But I think mostly the snooping is in the direction of like, what the fuck are you specifically doing?
Sure. In that case, give me an Arcana check to follow that up with.
It's cocked. 1 second. I'm building my desk, so it's still a little fuckety over here. 15.
Looking through, you find easy answers first. You find nothing on Vitapel. In fact, you find overall the bulk of the text in here is focused on very, very complex theorems regarding arcane magic. And the closest you can get to understanding that, you did roll a 15, so you've got some understanding, the closest you can get is that there is a lot here on mental and perception-based manipulation. Lots of enchantment study, lots of illusion study. However, it is all through this lens that conflates and combines those schools of magic into a single theorem surrounding the word genjutsu. It is this notion of using the energies of the body, not in oneself and not in the world, but actually manipulating the ki, the life force that lives inside a person's mind, and rerouting those life forces and bending them. That is the bulk of what the research in this room is. There is also lots of notes on far more complex things that you're having a hard time nailing down. The one thing that does stand out, because you rolled really high investigation and solid arcana, you see nothing about crowns, you see nothing about cages.
Okay.
You do see a diagram. One scroll runs vertically rather than horizontally. Most of these scrolls are set up to be sort of read horizontally and rotated to spin the words. This one's vertical, like it's a singular design. And while the design is not complex, you would recognize like a schematic for like an item that you're welding or building in a forge. This looks like that, but with magic. And there are pieces missing. But the pieces you see are a tree. Far up above that tree, you see a shape that looks like a circle with several circles within that almost look like a sort of warped eye. And then below the tree, you see this sort of pictographic representation of a creature with several tails emerging from it. And just as you, like, none of this is written in common, none of it's written in any language that you understand. It's all in this, like, arcane glyphery. And as soon as you start to, like, what is this? Papa's, like, at your shoulder. That is not relevant to what we're looking for right now.
Unfortunately, I'm not quite as educated as you are, and I don't know what is relevant and what is not, so I'm looking at everything I can.
A wise tactic.
But thank you. I will continue.
And as you sort of put that to the side, you can see Papa very quickly take it and stow it in their robes and continue the research. It takes a few hours. It takes about 4 hours of digging through all of these books and scrolls and things, both you and Papa. Eventually, you get to a point where Papa goes over to a bookshelf, and you can see that part of the bookshelf has been built up into this little, like, spin wheel knob. It almost looks like a doorknob, but perfectly flat. And there is a section in the bookshelf that's kind of left to its own, and there's a single book, like, teetered on its side. We will have to go outside of the collection in order to figure out anything further. It pays to have friends with the Index Omnium. Their fingers alight on this little dial, and it spins, and as it spins, you can see these little runes and glyphs change on what the dial is, and the book that's above the dial changes into different shapes of different books, until finally it dials in. Papa extracts the book, turns a few pages, and lays it out. Kundrakar is the name of Durgeddon's dwarven redoubt. It was created very early on in the settling of these lands, when Durgeddon the Smith, later called Durgeddon the Black, moved further south. Giants had begun settling in the King's Peaks, but the blood feud left over from Jotunheimer still ran deep. Durgeddon refused, became a turncloak, and was thus labeled Durgeddon the Black. And he, along with his followers, settled in a new place, where he wouldn't have to tolerate giantkin. They flip a few pages, and it lands on a map of what you would recognize as the Western Lands pre-Noth. Here, in the area known as Inari's Tears, Hidden amongst the pools is a mountain called Stone Tooth. That's where he built Kundrakar. If anything else is known of this, it's not widely circulated. I suspect that Durgeddon and his kin are either dead, or they are the most successful isolationists in the world. But that is where you will find answers that I cannot. What are these visions? I might be able to help if I do more.
I don't really know how to describe it. There have been random bits of speech. They're mostly in the forge of my ancestor, who is, to be fully honest, encompassable? I do not know how to describe Vidipel, but chaotic comes to mind. It's just been looks inside what they're working on, which doesn't look like a normal. It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen. I've been in a forge my whole life, so I don't understand what it is. There's many different types of metal involved. It's honestly, the craftsmanship is astounding. I don't really. Honestly, I don't know how to categorize it without more answers.
Do you know for certain it was his forge?
I suppose not, no.
Durgeddon built a fortress that contained a forge. He was Durgeddon the Smith before he was Durgeddon the Black. Perhaps your ancestor is here, in what was colloquially called, and they turn another page, the Forge of Fury.
I mean, tonally that matches. Alright. How do I get there?
It's equidistant between the Sunless Citadel and Noth. Either one's a good option. I can send you to either one.
Let me go to North. I have some things I need to collect before continuing, but
Do you wish to go now?
I think so.
Do you need help?
Whatever I can get.
I don't have need of Wynnie or Fiadh in this moment. They could be of assistance to you.
No, let them rest. They don't need to be wrapped up in this. This is mine, and mine alone.
The mask cocks to the side. Curious, but not asking.
If you have any weapons or potions or anything, I would love those, but I don't believe that anyone needs to be entangled in this mess that is caused by my own bloodline.
It is not idly that the gods interfere. They reach over to the drawing desk and pull out one of the little drawers and sort of rifle through, and you can see it is just a drawer of bones, small little bones, very similar to those that you saw engraved with runes during your training mission, the first thing that you did here at the Shadespire. And you see them withdraw one of them and quickly etch with one of their special quills. You see it pull from a vial that looks like it has no ink, and then when they begin writing on the bone, you hear a sizzle of acid as it etches into the bone several runes. And as they hold the bone in between their fingers and make some sort of sign, you see the runes alight with a little pulse of blue. It'll only work once, and it will send a message no longer than 25 words. If you need help, send a message to whoever you think will best help you.
Does it cross planes?
Reasonably reliably.
All right. Okay, thank you. I vastly appreciate it.
And if you don't need help, feel free to reach out. You've proven yourself valuable. It's hard to say through the mask, but it sounds like it's said with a little bit of a ironic smirk.
Can I roll insight?
Yeah.
15.
They're very clearly referencing the little spat you two had when they first
Yeah.
came into the Sunless Citadel.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, as long as I serve my purpose, I suppose.
In a world ruled by gods, all we are is our purposes. Are you ready?
More now than I will be in the future.
Several hand signs happen. They reach out and touch your shoulder. And you apparate out of existence, appearing in the city of Noth. And what happens next, we'll find out later. Hey, that transition worked. Mostly.
Hey.
Yay.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Tales Does Tales, where we play Tales from the Yawning Portal with an eldritch twist. Got a little bit of a flashback to what happened with Daya. Thank you, Sam, for being able to come in and pre-record. Thank you to Danny, our latest member of the party. Oh boy, you're going to get to meet everyone in the middle of combat with a bunch of undead falling from the sky. It's just happy times.
This is not going to be traumatic at all.
Not at all.
Nah.
We were discussing it while the pre-record was running that like Pebble doesn't barely even knows what rain is, let alone why there are corpses falling from the sky. So this is just going to be a big old learning experience for everyone, and I'm very excited. But until then, until next week, thank you everybody for tuning in. Stick around for a raid. We'll be raiding someone very shortly, and until next time, are you ready for more tales? Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.